Hello and welcome back to CBC. I'm your host, Emily Cormack.
And I'm WWI. In the next few weeks, our nation will come together and remember the lives that have been lost in the Great Wars on November 11th. We take 2 minutes of silence to remember the courage, sacrifice, and heroism that our Canadian soldiers and the lives we lost.
War I was nothing short of unimaginable conditions, trench warfare, and death. Our Canadian soldiers fought in numerous battles, including Ypres, the Battle of Vimy Ridge, Battle of the Somme, and the Battle of Passchendaele.
Today, we are bringing you a special episode of the Battle of Passchendaele and what it meant for Canada.
When Britain went to war in August 1914, Canada, as a member of the British Empire, automatically found itself at war as well.
In the fall of 1917, the Canadian Corps, after a great success at Vimy Ridge that April, was sent to North Belgium. It was an all too familiar ground for the Canadians with some heavy fighting earlier this year.
The Ypres area of Belgium, where the village of Passchendaele is located, was the scene of several First World War battles.
Ypres was a very difficult place to fight. It was a region largely made up of flat, low ground that kept only dry with an intricate series of ditches, and after 3 years of fighting, these drainage systems were completely gone.
In 1917, the autumn rains came early and turned the battlefield into a sea of mud, which made the fighting conditions of Passchendaele horrific and unbearable.
The Third Battle of Ypres was undertaken by the British primarily to take pressure off the French forces to the south. The British commander, Sir Douglas Haig, launched a drive in Belgium to wear down the German capacity to continue fighting in the war.
The campaign began at the end of July 1917. The British opened the attack with a pounding artillery barrage. Heavy rains came down the very night the ground assault was launched. However, the shell holes quickly filled with water. The next day, the battlefield had countless flooded craters.
Early in October 1917, the Canadians were sent to Belgium to relieve the battered Anzac forces and to take part in the final push to capture Passchendaele. Canadian Corps Commander Lieutenant General Arthur Currie inspected the terrain and was shocked at what the conditions he saw.
Currie took as much time as he could to carefully prepare for October 26th, the day the Canadian offensive began. Advancing through the mud and enemy fire was slow and there were heavy losses, but our soldiers crawled their way forward. Despite the adversity, the Canadians reached the outskirts of Passchendaele by the end of the second attack on October 30th during a rainstorm.
On November 6th, the Canadians and British launched the assault to capture the ruined village of Passchendaele itself. In heavy fighting, the attack went according to plan. The task of actually capturing the infamous village fell to the 27th City of Winnipeg Battalion, and they took it that day. Canadian soldiers had succeeded in the face of almost unbelievable challenges.
But Canada's great victory at Passchendaele came at a high price. More than 36,000 of Canadian soldiers died in the fighting, the British Empire losing almost 450,000 men. The battle was a bloodbath, more men being lost in the countless water-filled craters than dying from enemy artillery.
The Canadian victory at Passchendaele was truly impressive and added to our nation's growing reputation as having the best offensive fighting force on the Western Front. This status meant that our forces would be at the front for a series of advantages and eventually won the war for the Allies a year later. Just over 100 years ago, in 1917, the Battle of Passchendaele went down in these very trenches. Over 36,000 Canadians died in this battle, and 42,000 were never recovered from the mud. We're now going to show you never-seen-before footage of the Battle of Passchendaele.
We must clear the Belgian coast and break the will of the Germans.
Where's the battle?
Passchendaele, picked it myself.
That's a literal pit of mud. Thousands of our men are going to die.
You know what, Currie? No one asked your opinion here, okay?
Well, Haig, what exactly is your plan?
General, what's the plan? Just don't die.
Did you see that? The Germans are coming!
Smell mustard?